Hindi or Urdu version is in description.
You have probably tasted it, but do you know what's behind it? Chocolate, our comfort food, celebration treat, the one thing that brings smiles across the globe. But behind every bite, there may be a child's silence where laughter should have been, and a forest reduced to ash. What if I told you the dark chocolate you are about to eat has its own dark side? The children who don't even know what chocolate tastes like, and top chocolate brands promised to end child labor 2 decades ago. But the truth, we will find later in the video. You will also see a story of a teenage boy who was promised a better future and what solutions we can offer individually if the system is too reluctant to change. Stay with us till the end because this story might change the way you see the chocolate forever. Côte d'Ivoire, or widely known as Ivory Coast, is the world's largest cocoa producer. It supplies nearly 40% of global cocoa. Fields stretch beyond sight, lush, golden, beautiful, and hiding a difficult truth. Unlike the myth of only industrial cocoa farms, these beans mostly grow on small, isolated plots, deep within forests, far from oversight. Children, mostly brought from neighboring Burkina Faso, worked long days harvesting pods using sharp farming tools, handling hazardous chemicals like glyphosate, and carrying sacks heavier than their own bodies. In these unregulated camps, children sleep on dirt, drink from contaminated rivers, and eat whatever grows in the field. Many don't even know who they are working for. The beans they pick vanish into an invisible trade, only to appear later in the world's finest chocolates. In 2001, major chocolate corporations signed the Hurricane Angle Protocol, a historic commitment to eliminate the worst forms of child labor by 2005. 2 decades later, the numbers remaining haunting. As of 2020, 1.56 million children are still involved in cocoa farming in West Africa. The problem is massive, and those who have worked on front lines, NGOs, lawmakers, even chocolate industry leaders know one thing for sure: there are no quick fixes. Every step forward comes with resistance, complexity, and a cost. Most farmers still earns less than 6% of chocolate's final price. Caught in a cycle of economic hardship without fair wages, families continues to depend on child labor. It's not just a supply issue, it's a deeply rooted economic challenge. Chocolate companies proudly publish glossy brochures filled with promises of transparency. But when independent investigators asked to examine barcodes or GPS tracking systems used to verify ethical sourcing, such tools were rarely accessible or didn't even exist in the first place. Public pledges remain widespread, but they often not backed by independently verifiable systems. To make space for cocoa, protected rainforests are disappearing. The Thai forest, once home to rare species and ancient trees, has lost over 90% of its coverage since the 1950s. In some of these restricted forest zones, cocoa farming continues without official authorization. Government officials, NGOs, and even local enforcement are sometimes reported to be either unable or unwilling to intervene. In theory, fair trade cooperatives are designed to protect farmers, ensure decent wages, and eliminate child labor and deforestation from the supply chain. But in practice, these promises often exist only on paper. Children using unsafe tools and spraying chemicals without protective cares have still been seen in areas marked as certified. And yet, every day, trucks carry these beans to the coast. The labels disappear, the origins fade. The chocolate, however, remains untouched in the eyes of consumers. If you have made it this far, take a pause, like the video, and consider subscribing to the channel so that you won't miss out any content. Back in the global north, chocolate is luxury, boxed, gifted, celebrated. But in the forests of Côte d'Ivoire and other parts of West Africa, the harsh reality is a part of these children's daily lives, something they carry with them every single day. In 2020, Al Jazeera featured a documentary titled Chocolate's Heart of Darkness, This undercover report explored the illegal trafficking and exploitation of children from Burkina Faso into a cocoa farms in Côte d'Ivoire. Journalists followed hidden supply chains, interviewed affected children, and revealed how many end up working under dangerous and unpaid conditions, even on farms supplying major chocolate brands. We have given the link in the description if you would like to watch the documentary. The documentary exposed the false promises made to poor families, the unsafe labor and chemical exposure to cocoa plantations, the loopholes in certifications like Fair Trade or Rainforest Alliance, the absence of corporate accountability despite public claims of sustainability. The documentary also covers a story of teenage boy Ulrich. In the remote forests of Côte d'Ivoire, a teenage boy named Ulrich became just another invisible worker in the global chocolate supply chain. He had arrived from Burkina Faso months earlier and was promised of education and opportunity, but instead of classroom, Ulrich found himself wielding a machete, harvesting cocoa pods from sunrise to sunset, exposed to chemicals, barefoot, and untrained. He slept on dirt, ate barely enough, and for 6 months received no pay, only orders. The forest became his only school. During his interview, he mentioned, "I thought I would learn, but I only learned how to survive under these trees." Even today, most cocoa farmers haven't tasted chocolate in their entire life. This is not an exaggeration. According to this 2020 article of Forbes Africa, most of the farmers never tasted a chocolate in their lives. The industry earns billions every year, yet the hands that harvest its core ingredient remains unseen, underpaid, and unheard. Now the question is, what the solution to this might be. Well, we might not have the power to change the system instantly, but with our individual actions, we can bring the change. Buy chocolates with fair trade, rainforest alliance, or direct trade labor, but do not trust logos blindly. Do your research. Prefer brands that show where their cocoa comes from. Avoid cheap chocolates. Ethical costs more for a reason. Watch the documentaries and read about child labor in cocoa farming and the articles by US Department of Labor and Washington Post. The links are given in description. Share real stories on social media to spread awareness, including this video if you feel like social responsibility towards a better society. Research and ask companies if their chocolate is truly child labor free. Sign petitions that support stronger supply chain laws. We have added the link into the description. And before you click to the next video, I would like to share the final thoughts on today's topic. The cocoa industry may feel distant, tucked away behind colorful wrappers and sweet nostalgia, but every bar has a story. No one can change the system alone, but each decision, each voice matters. Even without power, there is power in awareness. Even without billions, there is a value in action. Change doesn't begin with companies, it begins with individuals who choose to care, to question, and to act. Because Ulrich's story should not be the price of someone else's dessert. So, next time, when chocolate melts on your tongue, the real question should be, whose childhood paid for this bite? If you like this video, then I would request you to check out our other videos as well. The link is in description.